I am not teaching, I am publicly learning. But hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in the UK test part 55, Ireland part 2, that is on page 27. And just shortly before we begin, we have here a little quotation to the section before. One achievement of King James' reign was the new translation of the Bible into English. This translation is known as the King James Version or the Authorized Version. So that seems to be important. So King James VI of Scotland and James I of England, the son of Mary Stuart, Mary of the Scots, during his reign, so he was a Protestant most likely, but his mother was a Catholic. During his reign, the Bible in Latin, the Bible which was in Latin was translated into English, and that version is known as the King James Version or the King James Bible. King James Version or so it's known, they say, as King James Version or Authorized Version. I know it just as King James Bible. King James Version and Authorized Version. And when we can go on with Ireland, but let's start with leg stretching. I haven't announced it. So leg stretching, and if you participate in the leg stretching, it is at your own risk. So bring one leg in front with the heel into the ground and a flexed foot. Now we're pulling the toes a bit towards us, and from time to time we're contracting the quad muscles and then we're releasing the quad muscles again. But all the time are we keeping the stretch. So we're starting with contracting the quad muscles. The English government encouraged Scottish and English Protestants to settle in Ulster, the northern province of Ireland, taking over the land from Catholic landholders. And release the contraction, but we're keeping the leg bare. We're going through that sentence word by word. So, the English government, so the government of England, so England, encouraged Scottish and English Protestants. So, and contract again. So there are Protestants in Scotland and in England. And the government encouraged them to, and release the contraction again. I'm not sure if I'm moving the camera. And release the contraction. And contract again. So this English government encouraged Scottish and English Protestants to settle in Ulster, the northern province of Ireland, and release the contraction. So in Northern Ireland is a province, and that province is Ulster. And contract again, last time. So in Northern Ireland there is a province and its name is Ulster. And in that region, the English government, encouraged Scottish and English Protestants to settle there. Now we have a leg in front, and the toes are pulling towards us, and we're contracting the quad muscles. Taking over the land from Catholic landholders. So people had the land in Ireland. We know at some time during the feudalism time that were clans in Ireland. And release the contraction. And no, I'm really not sure if I want the camera. And contract again. But now, however, how it was, there were Catholic landholders, which could be technically still clans. But now we are Catholic landholders. And release the contraction. So the landholders were Catholic, but the English government encouraged Scottish and English Protestants to settle in that region and to take over that land from the Catholic landholders. And contract again. So no longer at the time, at least in some parts, did Catholic landholders hold the land, but new settlers who were Protestantistic from Scotland and England, and they were encouraged by the English government. These settlements were known as plantations, and we're going over to the next exercise. We are bringing the leg to the outside, and we are now driving the leg into the floor, so we're pressing a bit into the ground in that direction. But there should be never pain or something. So these settlements were known as plantations. So now in Ulster, the province in Northern Ireland, consisted out of settlements who were known as plantations, and the people who were settling were English and Scottish Protestants, encouraged by the English government, and they were taking over the land from the Catholic landholders. And release the stretch a bit, but we're keeping the leg bare. Many of the new settlers came from southwest Scotland, and other land was given to companies based in London. We are driving again the leg into the floor, and we're giving the leg there. Yes, of course. Many of the new settlers came from southwest Scotland. So we have more details. So they were Scottish and English Protestants, but now we know we're coming from southwest Scotland. Southwest Scotland, where we have green pages. So bookmark is going down for some reason. Here is Scotland, and the south of Scotland is down there, and the west of Scotland is where. So we're coming from here, where all the islands are. And we know two islands. Iona, where is the monastery founded by Saint Columba, and now we are leg to the side, and we're pressing the leg a bit into the floor. And we know another island, Orkney Island. There is the Scarborough, the best preserved prehistoric village of Northern Europe, and it helps archaeologists to know how people around the Iron Age or Stone Age, at the end of the Stone Age, I think was it, were living near the end of Stone Age. And we know of other islands, for example, the Crown Dependencies. These are the Isle of Man and the Channel Islands. And we know of British Overseas Territories, for example, St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. But let's look at that part again. It were the Crown Dependencies. That is the name. And the British Overseas Territories. And release the stretch a bit, but keep the leg there. So many of the new settlers came from southwest Scotland. So we were coming from these southwest Scotland. They don't write that they came from the islands, but they came from southwest Scotland. And other land was given to companies based in London. So in London, in the big city, drive again the leg into the floor. We know that there is the Westminster Bridge. We know that is the House of Parliament. And we had to mention just one time, there is the Globe Theatre, which is a modern copy of the theatres who were during the time of William Shakespeare there. So the Globe Theatre is also there, and we know that companies are in London, and to some of these companies land was given in the Ulster region in the northern province of Ireland. Now the leg to the outside, we are having a flexed foot, the cartridge, and we're bringing the leg up and turning it again in. And try to be frontal with the main part of the body. James later organized similar plantations in several other parts of Ireland. So James VI and James I, he organized plantations. So in this case, these are called plantations, the settlements of English and Scottish settlers encouraged by the government of England who were taking over the land by the Irish. Were later organized in several other parts of Ireland. So not only in Ulster, in the northern province, but also in other parts of Ireland. This had serious long-term consequences for the history of England, Scotland and Ireland. The other leg to the outside, and we're flexing the foot, and we're bringing the leg up and again in. So, settlements were made not only in the northern part of Ireland, where must be Ulster, but also in other parts of Ireland. What was it exactly? In several other parts of Ireland. This had serious long-term consequences for the history of England, Scotland and Wales, and Ireland. That was what I was just thinking, not for Wales. Consequences for the history of England, Scotland and Ireland. So for England, Scotland and Ireland. So for over the long term, so over the centuries to come, it had serious, so that indicates that they were not so good, consequences for the history when happening in England, Scotland, and of course Ireland. And we're going on to the next exercise, but we're through with Ireland technically. We're going into the 1990 position, so both legs are having 90 degrees. We're going with the hands to the knee, which is behind us, and then we're leaning in front with the shoulder to the knee, which is in front of us. Let's look a bit at William Shakespeare. I still haven't looked for the quotes. Once more unto the breach. Once more unto the breach. And when we have the darling buds of May, out of Sonnet 19, that's Sonnet 18, should I compare it to a summer's day? And we have all the words a stage out of As You Like It, and we have the first one, once more unto the breaches out of Henry V. a few more times. You have this exercise. And to be or not to be out of Hamlet. And a rose by any other name. A rose by any other name out of Romeo and Juliet. And now to the other side, into 1991, with the hands to the knee which is behind of us, and we're leaning in front with the shoulder to the other. To be or not to be out of Hamlet, and a rose by any other name. A rose by any other name. A rose by any other name out of Romeo and Juliet. And now we're through. Just not in the right order. Let's go back to the other two things which we're trying actually to learn. Like memorizing. So the 6 wives are Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. We had all 6. And they are, the rhyme is divorced, killed, died, divorced, killed, survived. And we're going back to the other side, into 1990 stretch. And now we're just going in front. So we have divorced, killed, died, and divorced, killed, survived. And I think, let's read it again. You may be asked specific questions about Henry VIII's wives, as well as the facts given here. So we should learn also the facts. Let's make it with the children again. So the first 3 he had children with. With his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, who was divorced, he had multiple children, but only Mary survived. He had 3 children, Mary, Elizabeth, and Edward, all in that order with his first 3 wives. And we're going over to the other side. Now we're done. And 1996, and now we're going into the pigeon pose. Do it only if you know how to do the pigeon pose, and if you can do it, know how to injure yourself. So he had 3 children. Mary, Elizabeth, and Edward. And we got in the order of gender and then birth, king or queen. So first the boy, Edward, he became Edward VI, then the firstborn girl, Mary, and then the second girl, Elizabeth. And when we have more facts, so he divorced the one from abroad, the 2 from abroad. From abroad were Catherine of Aragon from Spain. And now we're going to the other side. In the 1990 stitch first. Not just 1990 position, but we're going in front. So I divorced the 2 from abroad. The one from Spain is from Spain, Catherine of Aragon, and he divorced the one from Germany, Anne of Cleves. And he killed then the 2 who did not survive or died. So he killed Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, the 2nd and the 5th. And it died Jane Seymour, who died shortly after she had brought Edward to the world, and then last one, Catherine Parr. And now into the pigeon pose. If you know how to do it without injuring yourself, you can do it. And the other thing which we wanted to learn are the values and principles of the UK, where we had democracy, the rule of law, individual liberties, tolerance of faith and belief of others, and participation in community life. And we also wanted to make 5 with respect the rights of others and their own opinions, treat others with fairness, look after ourselves and our family. And let's go to the last exercise. It is the butterfly stretch. So just the soles of the feet together. We are sitting tall and straight up, and we're leaning a bit in front. And let's end this part with going over Ireland. Have a tall back, neutral position of the spine, and lean a bit in front. So Ireland. Ireland was almost completely Catholic, but Henry VII and VIII extended the English control and established English authority. And King Henry VIII took the title King of Ireland. I think that could be something which could be asked. So King of Ireland, Henry VIII took the title. And the English laws were introduced, and the local leaders were expected to follow instructions of the Lord Lieutenants in Dublin. During the reigns of Elizabeth I and James I, many people in Ireland opposed the rule by the Protestant government in England, and there were rebellions. The English government encouraged then the settlers to settle in Ulster, the northern region of Ireland, and that took over the land from the Catholic landholders. Also, land from the southwest of Scotland, of southwest Scotland, where came the people from. More land from several other regions was given to settlers and to companies based in London. And these were called plantations, and this had serious long-term consequences for the history of England, Scotland, and Ireland. So this is the end, and I thank you very much, and until the next time.